The Realme X7 Pro is one of my favorite mid-range smartphones of 2020 at around just $350. However, the Oppo F17 Pro is slightly cheaper than that, but due to its hardware specifications. They're both very similar on paper in terms of 8GB LPDDR4X RAM, UFS 2.1 storage, and they both house a MediaTek chipset. However, the Realme X7 Pro houses a 7nm Dimensity 1000 Plus, while the Oppo is stuck to the P95 chipset, also by MediaTek. The Realme also has a 120Hz refresh rate panel, where the Oppo is limited to 60. We have enabled high performance mode on both and kept all animations enabled as well. Round 1 is going to be all about boot fingerprints and face unlock. Round 2 will be all about initial opening of app speed, and round 3 will be all about RAM management. Using my fingers over here, so to keep things accurate, we're going to pop GoPro footage to the bottom left hand corner. This is TechNick, and without further ado, let's go. I'm going to start with a simple boot here in round 1 to see which one can turn on their device faster. And just to let you know, 21.5 seconds on the Realme as opposed to a crazy 37 seconds on the Oppo device over here, getting the Realme its first point in round 1. Going into the actual devices in order to refresh the app icons, the F17 Pro looked like it did it faster, but it still had a lot of loading to do, so the point was allocated to the X7 Pro. The X7 Pro's fingerprint reader underneath its display is optical, as well as the one underneath the Oppo display. The Realme was faster the first 2 times round. However, the Oppo was faster the 3rd time round over here, but because of 2 wins, the point got allocated to the Realme. Now, testing out facial recognition, both 2D face unlocks on both devices over here. The Realme was faster the first time and faster the second time. Let's test out the 3rd time over here, and it was indeed faster that time too. So it got 3 wins there, giving it its 4th and final points in round 1. Making sure that we hooked up to the same Wi-Fi network, max brightness, and all the apps are removed in the background, as well as that high performance mode still being enabled on both devices. Going into the first app, which is in the camera app, the Realme opens it up quicker and flips to the selfie cam quicker. But strange thing here, the Oppo F17 Pro took the snap quicker, getting its first point in round 2 as opposed to 2 on the Realme. It was too close to call when opening up the gallery app, though the Realme opened up the actual photo that we just took slightly quicker there. Going into the calculator app, they both did very similar animations, a little bit different, but they landed up with the end result being at the same time, so no point was allocated there. However, the Realme quickly strikes back once more, opening up the phone app slightly quicker there and opening up the settings app quicker there too. Now with 5 points as opposed to the 1 on the F17 Pro, it was too close to call when opening up speed check and internet speed test. We're not really checking out download upload speed per se, but we're going to find out how long it actually takes to run the test. Strange thing happened on the Oppo though. We got a ping of 1,000. I'm not sure what happened here, and the download upload was at 0, but nevertheless the timing is what we're looking at, and the Oppo was slower than the Realme that time around, so the Realme picked up its 6th point in round 2 with 24 seconds as opposed to 25.5 on the Oppo. Going into Spotify over here, the X7 Pro opens that one up slightly quicker, and the next app that we have is indeed Photoshop Express. Jumping into Photoshop Express over here, the Oppo F17 Pro was slightly quicker, getting its 2nd points in round 2, but going into the actual photo that we just took, the Realme got its 8th point over there, now 4 times the points of the Oppo. It was too close to call when saving the picture to gallery, since they're both using the same UFS 2.1 storage. And going into Adobe Clip over here, the Oppo was quicker in opening it up. I usually use Adobe Rush over here, but MediaTek and Adobe with their new Rush video editing program doesn't seem to work well on these devices. They just fail to export both clips, and the Realme saved this 4K file compressed down to 1080p in 24 seconds as opposed to 26.5 on the Oppo, getting its 10th point in round 2. Next app that we have to open here is indeed Astral VPN, since we need a VPN here in China, which the Realme opens up quicker than the Oppo, and they both turn them on at a similar time. First social media app that we have to open over here, one of the reasons why we need a VPN here in China, the Oppo actually opened up the app faster, but the Realme loaded the entire page quicker, so no point was allocated over there. Next app that we're jumping into is indeed Instagram, and going into that one, the Oppo F17 Pro got its 4th point in round 2 as opposed to 11 on the Realme X7 Pro. Going into Twitter though, the Realme quickly strikes back once more with 12 points, now 3 times the points of the Oppo's 4 points. And going into YouTube over here, which one can open it up quicker? The Realme X7 Pro opened it up and loaded the entire page quicker, getting it its 13th point in round 2. Now we're going to jump over to my channel over here, and it's interesting to see that the Oppo F17 Pro opened it up quicker and loaded the page quicker, getting its 5th point in round 2. Going into the video, the Oppo played the video quicker and loaded the page quicker once more over here, getting its 6th point, now narrowing the gap between it and the Realme X7 Pro. Next app that we have on the cards here is indeed Netflix, and jumping into this wonderful media app, you'll be be happy to know that there is HD support on the Oppo F17 Pro, and the Oppo was quicker to open it up, but the X7 Pro went into my profile slightly quick over there. So now double points, 14 on the Realme as opposed to now 8 for the Oppo F17 Pro after opening up Google Chrome slightly quicker. Our first game of 4 here is indeed Subway Surfers, which the Realme X7 Pro opens up quite a lot quicker than the Oppo this time round due to that 7nm technology running on the Realme's Dimensity 1000 Plus chipset, as opposed to the 12nm technology running with the Helio P95, also made by MediaTek, on the Oppo. That is the same case when opening up our second game here, which is indeed Flip Diving. The Realme opens it up quicker. Now 16 points, once again a double lead over the Oppo F17 Pro here with 8 points. I sped it up, slowed it back down, opening up Temple Run 2, and the Oppo did surprise me over there. The Realme did some strange thing with the screen, but the Oppo picked up its 9th point in round 2. Last game here, last app of the 20, PUBG Mobile. Which one can open it up quicker? I have sped things up bottom right hand corner by 400%, 17.5 seconds for the Realme as opposed to a crazy 26.5 seconds for the Oppo. Though the Oppo is capped at 30 FPS when playing PUBG, make sure that you check out my review of the phone after this. It is not capped when it comes to Call of Duty Mobile, doing it at a solid 60 FPS. Now we're testing out RAM management, and both of them have the same capacity here, 8 gigs of RAM, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the actual RAM performance. They both are kitted with LPDDR4X RAM over here and not LPDDR5 RAM, so the RAM is slightly slower than flagships that you are known to see these days, but these are really cheap phones. We're talking about $350 on the Realme as opposed to $300 on the Oppo, so they're very cheap. You don't expect the RAM management to be incredible or to have the latest RAM modules inside their phones. So far it's 0 points apiece in round 3 over here, and that is because I only allocate an app if one of them keeps an app open and the other one kills it, or vice versa, and none of them have kept one app open where the other has killed it, or the other way around at all over here. They've both kept the same apps open and both killed the same apps, and that's no surprise since they're both owned by the same company, BBK Electronics, and Oppo is actually the parent company of Realme. So it's really interesting to see that Realme is doing so well in this test. Total score over here, 21 points for the Realme X7 Pro as opposed to 9 points for the Oppo F17 Pro. If we just look at raw speed, raw performance, that is round 2, and we got 17 points for the Realme as opposed to 9 on the Oppo. The Oppo is using a much weaker chip, so I'm impressed that it picked up quite a few points over here. Nevertheless, the Realme is definitely the top dog in the speed test. This is TechNick, and I'll see you in the next one.